again. Hope this works like this. Let's see if I can hold it like this. Okay. So one thing that this pandemic, wait, let me put you. Can everybody hear me okay? No more static? Okay, great. If it comes again, just let me know. So one thing that this pandemic has pushed into industries all across the board is working distance. And in the apparel or fashion industry per se, at a corporate level, this is not unusual since most of the garments are produced overseas while the main office and the whole team is located in the USA. So you would think that working remote in times of a pandemic is something that we will be able to assimilate. In some cases, people are not assimilating for different reasons. Sometimes they need human contact to be able to, from an emotional sense, work. Others, like in my case, as a technical designer, we were used to conducting live fittings on models alongside the designer. The good news is that this conundrum has basically pushed for innovation in the realm of live fittings after the first pattern development, because my company has done successful live fittings virtually. Therefore, what started as innovation now has turned into a system that has pushed for productivity and collaboration to basically increase, leaving in return an increased level of like a good feeling, like a feel-good type of feeling. Because on my end, I need to level up my communication skills to be able to communicate to the receiver the directions on what is wrong with the garment and how to fix it. And then on the receiver end, which that person might not have any fashion industry background, now has had a hands-on experience on fitting its own design and understanding firsthand how their design interacts with the choice of fabric. So before I move on, I want to see if there's any questions really quick. I'm glad the static is gone. Like I've said, if there's any issues, just let me know. Okay, no questions here. No questions on the other end. Okay, so I'm going to move forward and I'm going to share with you the 5 steps that we follow to have a successful fitting remotely or virtually. So first things first, my company makes a pattern, the tech pack, and the first sample in the bulk sample in the fabric yardage, but it needs to be the one that you're going to be using for bulk, or at least that's what I suggest. I review and spec. That means that we measure the garment of the first fit sample, and then we make notes before it's shipped to you, along with a copy of those notes. It is important to mention that we do not have to make the first fit sample. If you decide to make the sample with your factory, but you want me or anyone in my team to join your fitting, your factory needs to supply a quality control spec of the sample. This means, hi Matthew, this means that they need to measure the sample so I can compare to the specs that we developed for the first fit. So that's number 1. The trifecta of pattern, tech pack, and first fit, and have a quality control spec either from ourselves or the factory once you receive that first fit sample. Number 2, so before I start pattern making, or before we start the pattern making, you should have supplied the live fit model measurements. That means that the day of the fitting, you will have this model with you. If you are the fit model, make sure that there's someone with you to assist you in case we need to like pin anything in the back. But most importantly, everyone should be wearing a mask. You, the model, everyone in the room with you should be wearing a mask because safety first. And just in case this wasn't obvious, it's a virtual fitting. So I will be in my phone and you will see me exactly the way you're seeing me right now, and you will be on the other end. So whether your assistant or yourself will be positioning the phone in a way that we could get this fitting done. So that's number 2. Talking about pinning takes me to point number 3. You need to have a couple things on hand. Safety pins, a marker, a pen, or a number 2 pencil. No mechanical pencils. So you have to have something that you can mark the garment with, scissors, and a measuring tape. So those are pins, markers, pen or pencil, scissors, and a measuring tape. Okay. This should not worry you. So this is all the things that you're going to have on your end. But none of this should worry you because I will be there directing the fitting. The whole fitting will be directed by me. I just need your hands or your assistant's hands for pinning and marking. And I will be telling you everything that you need to do. I'll tell you how much to pin and what the problem area is and what exactly to do. And you'll be basically mimicking me, and I will be asking how the garment feels in certain areas. And that's basically how we conduct the fittings. You're very welcome. Yes, chalk is very good too. Anything that you could mark. I didn't say chalk because sometimes it's not as easy to find, but markers, pencils, anything that you could mark. But yeah, chalk, it's great. Thank you, Fashion Ginger. But basically, I will have control of what we're doing at all times. And the reason we're pinning is so that I can have a reference for pattern changes. That takes me to point number 4. Once we're done, you need to sanitize everything, and everyone should be washing your mask, your model, your assistant, everyone that's with you should be washing their hands. Safety first. And you will take that garment and ship it to me. Marked, cut, pin, whatever it is, just fold it and ship it to me. What I do once I receive it is that I review my notes with the pinned garment and get to work on the pattern and the graded spec revision. And the graded spec is the size chart. And I use the fit sample notes basically to revise the whole graded spec to make sure that the points of measure match the revised fit of the fit sample basically. And then that gets graded up and down. Lastly, number 5, with that revised pattern that we made after that first fitting, we make a new sample. We measure it, whether it's we or your factory should measure it before it's sent to you and send you a copy of those notes. And if the specs are within tolerance and you're happy with the fit, then this sample can be regarded as a pre-production sample. And that would be the end of the development for that specific style. If any big changes are made to that second fit, that second sample that we made, then a third sample, which we call a PP sample, will have to be made before we approve for the fit for production. So that fit for production will not be approved until you're happy and the specs match what the tech pack says. So like I said, that would be a third and last fit for this specific style. Because like I mentioned before, I don't recommend for any specific style going over 3 fit samples because then there's an issue either in communication, in patterning, and then we need to look at what the issue is and why this sample is not fitting as it should. So just to go over them real quick, the 5 steps that we follow to have a successful fitting remotely or virtually is having the trifecta, the pattern, the tech pack, and the first fit sample. And either your factory or ourselves will quality control spec it before sending it to you. So we will be able to see and make notes of these samples before you receive it. And then you give us your comments. We need to have the live model measurements, whether that's you or a person that you bring. That's number 2. And everybody should be wearing masks. That's very important. and also, or the assistant that you have there if you're going to be the fit model. Number 3 is the materials that you need to have on hand for me to be able to conduct this fitting, which are pins, like safety pins, marker, pen, number 2, pencil, or how it was mentioned before, thank you, chalk, it's great, scissors, and measuring tape. So that's important to have, and I will do everything for you. You just need to have those materials, and I'll tell you exactly what to pin, what to do, how much. I mean, I can see from here how much we're taking, what we need to do. I just need you to pin it because I need the pinned garment to be able to revise the pattern. Number 4, sanitize everything, all your materials, and then ship everything to me so I can work on that pattern. And number 5 is making a new sample from that revised pattern to either upgrade it to a PP sample or decide we need to make a third fit and call it a PP sample. So these 5 points that I mentioned provides an increased level of like good feeling, because I need to level up my communication skills to be able to communicate to you directions on what is wrong with the garment and how to fix it. And then on your end, with no fashion industry background, now you have a hands-on experience on fitting your own design and understanding firsthand how your design interacts with your choice of fabric. So in regards of those notes, are there any questions? Hi, Naomi. Thank you for joining. This is a first. Hi, Barbara. So do you guys have any questions in terms of fittings, in terms of what do you need to have? How long? Hi, Yarbo. Thank you for your question. How does the pattern making process take for winter wear, like a down or a bomber jacket? In terms of like the pattern making process, it's basically the same. I would say that with outerwear, probably you would go through the 3 samples, the three fit samples. So you would do first fit, second fit, and the PP fit. Usually by the time you receive the pre-production sample, it's more to double check that everything is okay and there's no minor pattern making changes. But I would say depending on the style and how complicated it is, it shouldn't take more than 6 to 8 weeks. And not only in pattern making, the whole process, pattern making, doing your tech bag, getting your size breakdown done, and getting your samples and fit approved. Hope that answers your question. Hi, Maria. Have you found certain factory locations better than others? Not really. It depends on what you're making. All factories have their strong suit. Other factories have multiple strong suits. But it's very important that when you meet with your factory, whether it's in LA or New York or in Miami or in Texas, that you ask for reference garments if they have anything around, so you can see what are their strong suits, what is that you like the best about their quality, and that's basically how you gauge if that factory is right for what you're going to produce or not. Hope that answers your question, Maria. Thank you, Spodhood. Ainat, how do you decide what measurements to use for sizing? Different brands range so much in fit, even if they're labeled the same size number. That is true. And the reason why is because we take the model specs, the fit model. So you have one fit model for your brand, and you decide that that's what it is. Usually, you should do some research on what market you're targeting. That's very important. Are you targeting the plus market? Are you targeting contemporary market? Are you targeting the Missy market? And depending on the market that you're targeting, That's how you figure out what is the body shape that they will have, and you decide who your fit model is going to be, what are her specs, and from there we use her specs to design the specs for your garment, basically. So I hope that answers your question, Aina. You're very welcome. Shannon, do you have a recommendation for factories that make premium kids clothing? I strongly recommend that you search via Makers Row, because Makers Row do have a vast amount of factories that does quality premium clothing in general. Specifically for kids, I cannot think of one on the top of my head right now, but definitely by reaching out to these factories, they will be able to tell you or even show you, because you can request that to show you if they've done any kids clothing in the past. So you can like just see it and review their quality. Shannon, I hope that answers your question. Diana, any advice on manufacturer who can handle silk blouses, French seams, small quantities production, especially in California? Yes, there is actually a couple of ones that are in Makers Row that I will strongly recommend. If you want to reach out to me directly, we can definitely talk about that, since it's specifically for silk. So we can talk about that. How about Maria? How about overseas factory? Is communication easy for you? Yes, we can communicate with overseas factories. I do have a little bit over a decade experience managing tech design and product development with overseas factories with big corporate brands. So yeah, that's something that I can do for you if you decide that you want to manage overseas. You're very welcome. Bro. Okay, on average, how much should designers expect to pay for a sample? Are they higher for winter wear? Usually, the thing about winter wear, and I'm assuming that you're talking about coats and outerwear specifically, not the other layers that people use during the winter. If it's only for coats and outerwear, usually they're labor intensive because they are lined, so you have to buy the self fabric and the lining. Usually they're made to be functional, so either you have tons of pockets or there's quilting, or it's outerwear is just very labor intensive. So usually sampling is going to be slightly higher than just sampling a dress. Just to give you an idea. It's an example. In New York, you can sample a dress. Let's say it costs you $200 to sample a dress. If you want to sample a coat, it could cost you $300 or more. And I'm saying ballpark, and I'm assuming $300 because it's a bomber that's lined, that has like 2 pockets, nothing too crazy or complicated. But usually, yes, outerwear costs a little bit more in terms of sampling because it's more labor intensive. Hope that answers your question. Shannon, what are some make or break questions we ask for when interviewing a factory? Oof, I have a list. That's a really good question. I should make a live on that. That's a good idea. That's actually a very long topic, Shannon. So maybe you can reach out to me and we can like sit down and talk more in depth about the question and how to, review your factory to see if it's really one for you. It's a long topic. That should be like a new topic. So you just gave me a new idea for another live. Irene Huram, is there a full-service factory in the U.S., such trim, fabric, cut and sew, etc.? So I'm assuming you're asking that they basically provide the trim, the fabric, the labor. You can find them in Makers Row if it's a factory per se, because what I do is that I specialize on everything technical design. So I do everything for you to be able to go to that factory. But they're definitely in Makers Row. There's a few that I know for a fact that they do that. But I think that you need to it's better if you reach out to those factories in general, and ask them what could they provide for you and some costing. But make sure that you have a tech pack before you reach out to them. Maria, I didn't know if communication is ever a challenge with overseas factory. It's not, Maria, it's not that it's necessarily a challenge. You just have to think that, let's use China as an example. There's a 12-hour difference. So you just need to work with that time difference when you're working with them. And yes, there is a communication, like English is not their first language, but you use a mix of like everything that we do in technical designs, from patterns to sketches to details on how to construct your garment, and that's the way you communicate with them. It's a mixture of like verbal communication, email communication, and something that they can see and touch, so they can see what you're actually talking about. But it's not complicated. It's just more making sure that you put all those three things in place. You're very welcome. Rand looks, that's a great topic for a live interviewing a factory. We'll please do one. Yes, I think it's a great topic. I haven't even thought about it, but I am writing that down immediately. Q Fabi, do you help with fabric sourcing worldwide? I help with some fabric sourcing, but it'll depend if we have availability for that. We can. And we source worldwide, yes. So yes, you can reach out to me and I can see how I can help you and if we can help you. Let me move this to the side because there's other questions here. Hi JB, would love to work for you, but I'm the West Coast and I think you're on the East Coast. That is correct, JB. Timing and finding a swimwear manufacturer here seems easier. Have you worked by custom much? Yes, I have. JB, I just jumped into the camera for Facebook. Yes, I have worked by coastal, basically everything that I mentioned today, how we work virtually, so we can jump on a call and we can talk about, and I can direct either whether it's a fitting, whether it's a construction issue, whatever it is with your factory or with yourself. Also, we can do tech packs, we can do the pattern making, we can work hand in hand with your factory. So that's definitely something that we can do, JB. Hope that answers your question. Trying to understand, you have another question. Trying to understand the pros and cons of working in different time zones. What are examples of your experience that this has worked for you? Well, JB, the first thing we do before we start a project is that, yes, we establish where you are and where your factory is, and we try to work around that. So if I know that it'll be really late here, or it's the end of the day in my time zone where your factory is in the middle of the day, then I'll make sure that all that work is either sent the day before or the night before. That way, by the time your factory opens and received all the work, they're able to work on a timely basis and I'm not delaying anything on my end. Hope that answers your question. Ronnie, how would you pre-order work with factory production as far as timing and orders placed to going into production? I don't think I can. How would you pre-order work with factory production? I think that question, we would have to sit down and talk and negotiate directly with the factory. I don't think that that's something that me as a technical designer can just tell you, this is how things are gonna get done. I think we need to collaborate with the factory in that one. So once you have your factory, I can definitely help you sit down and reach out and talk if you need help doing that. Hope that helps, Ronnie. Hi, Lulibor. Are you based in New York? I am based both in New York and in Miami. Right now, I'm in Miami. Last week, I was in New York. I go back and forth because I'm based here because I work with swimwear, ready to wear, and athleisure, and I have some factories in Miami. But some of my team is in New York City. So I go back and forth, we chat like you and I are doing right now. So yes, I'm based on both, I could say. But I'm in Miami right now. Ronnie, I do have a factory. Thanks, I'll reach out. Yeah, no problem. Okay, everybody. Yes, Lulabor, yeah, we can hop on a call, or we can talk about how we're gonna make this happen. You're very welcome. Okay, everyone. Is Eden Juan, full service factory in the US. What I said earlier is that yes, there are a few that are actually listed in the Makers Row site. In the Makers Row site. And you can definitely reach out to them, and they can tell you exactly how they can lay out basically how they manage their business for a full service. What I can do for you is either help you reach out and communicate with them, and I can also help you with anything technical design, pattern making, tech packs, fittings, construction information. So by the time you reach out to a factory, you have a garment that you have already worked on and developed. My factory is in China. Can you source fabric there? My factory is in China. Can you source fabric there or guide me with a good company? Yeah, there's also trade shows where you can source fabric, and basically that's how you source your fabric. You reach out where the trade shows are and where. Texworld, I think, just happened virtually last week. It was 3 days. So if you follow trade shows, that's how you source your factory. But Spooty Hood, just reach out to me and I can help you source, or we can talk further about your fabrics. Thank you, Inez. Are you able to recommend factories? Gal Karkov, yes. Makers Row has an amazing roster of factories that are ready and available to help you. But yes, I can recommend a few. Just reach out to me directly. How will we reach out to you? Your preferred method of contact. I pinned down in the screen. There is makersrow.com/Nicole-Melendez. Does your sample company also include denim? I know a few companies and factories that can sample denim. So if you reach out to me, we can talk about that. Let's see if there's any questions here. JB, you're very welcome. JB asked me, do you work with us directly, or do you assign someone from your team to work with us on our projects? I work hand in hand with every project that is processed through my company. My teamwork is managed by me, whether they're graders, designers, pattern makers. I'm the lead pattern maker in my team, and I also manage all the graded specs. So I am the person responsible for your sizing before you receive it. Hope that answers your question, JB. Please review step 1 again. I joined late. Thanks. Didi, we are running out of time, but like I said earlier, this live is being recorded via Restream. If you missed anything that I said, or whether it's my points, or if you have more questions, you can replay the live by going to Makers Row IGTV or the Makers Row Facebook, and you can play and pause as many times as you like. And like I said, reach out to me at makersrow.com/Nicole-Melendez. All right, everyone, you've been great. So our time is up, and I hope that the points discussed today helped understand how we can safely manage fittings virtually, bringing a sense of collaboration between the developer and designer while keeping your vision and development moving forward. So thank you for tuning in at the Makers Row Embark Live platform. And make sure that you click on the link that I pinned below and join. Here you will find many experts that are available to help you bring your product to market like myself. So you can reach out to me at the Makers Row site, like I mentioned before, makersrow.com/Nicole-Melendez. You're very welcome. Bye, everyone.